Hi, boys and girls. Welcome back to our daily reading of Pippi Longstocking. Well, yesterday when I was recording the video, Chloe was very jealous. She likes to be in the center of attention, and so she asked if today she could be on camera while I read. And of course, you guys know how much I love my cat, so I said yes. So today, Chloe will be the center of attention while we read about Pippi. So we are jumping back in with chapter 4, which is called Pippi Goes to School. Of course, Tommy and Anika went to school. Each morning at 8 o'clock, they trotted off hand in hand, swinging their school bags. At that time, Pippi was usually grooming her horse or dressing Mr. Nilsson in his little suit. Or else she was taking her morning exercises, which meant she would turn 43 somersaults in a row. Then she would sit down at the kitchen table and, utterly happy, drink a large cup of coffee and eat a piece of bread and cheese. Tommy and Anika always looked longingly towards Villa Vilcula when they started off to school. They would much rather have gone to play with Pippi. If only Pippi had been going to school too. That would have been something else again. Just think what fun we could have on the way home from school, said Tommy. Yes, and on the way to school too, said Anika. The more they thought about it, the worse they felt that Pippi did not go to school, and at last they determined to try to persuade her to begin. You can't imagine what a nice teacher we have, said Tommy artfully to Pippi one afternoon when he and Anika had come home for a visit at Villa Vilcula after they finished their homework. If only you knew what fun it is at school, Anika added. Oh, I would just die if I couldn't go to school. Reminds me of how I feel right now, missing school. Pippi sat on a hassock, bathing her feet in a tub. She said nothing, but just wiggled her toes for a while so that the water splashed around everywhere. You don't have to stay so very long, continued Tommy. Just until 2 o'clock. Yes, and besides, we get Christmas vacation and Easter vacation and summer vacation too, said Anika. Pippi bit her big toe thoughtfully, but said nothing. Suddenly, as if she made some decision, she poured all the water out on the kitchen floor so that Mr. Nilsson, who sat near her playing with a mirror, got his pants absolutely soaked. It's not fair, said Pippi sternly, without paying any attention to Mr. Nilsson's wet pants or his puzzled expression. It is absolutely unfair. I don't intend to stand it. Well, what's the matter now? Asked Tommy. In 4 months it will be Christmas, and then you'll have Christmas vacation. But what'll I get? Pippi's voice sounded sad. No Christmas vacation, not even the teeniest bit of a Christmas vacation, she complained. Something will have to be done about that. Tomorrow morning, I'll begin school. Tommy and Anika clapped their hands with delight. Hooray! We'll wait for you outside our gate at 8 o'clock. Oh no, said Pippi. I can't begin as early as that. And besides, I'm going to ride to school. And ride she did. Exactly at 10 o'clock the next day, she lifted her horse off the porch. And a little later, all the people in town ran to their windows to see what horse it was that was running away. That is to say, they thought he was running away. But it was only Pippi in a little bit of a hurry to get to school. She galloped wildly into the schoolyard, jumped off the horse, tied him to a tree, and burst into the schoolroom with such noise and a clatter that Tommy and Anika and all their classmates jumped in their seats. Hi there, cried Pippi, waving her big hat. Did I get here in time for puffication? Tommy and Anika had told their teacher that a new girl named Pippi Longstocking was coming, and the teacher had already heard about Pippi in the little town. As she was a very pleasant teacher, she had decided to do all she could to make Pippi happy in school. Pippi threw herself down on a vacant bench without having been invited to do so. But the teacher paid no attention to her heedless way. She simply said, in a very friendly voice, "Welcome to school." And look, there's even a picture. Check out that picture, Chloe. Awesome. I hope that you'll enjoy yourself here and learn a great deal. If you would first tell me your whole name, said the teacher, then I'll register you in the school. Okay, said Pippi, and I hope I'm going to get some Christmas vacation. That's the whole reason why I came. It's only fair, you know. Anyways, my name is Pipilata Delicatessa Window Shade Mackerel Mint Ephraim's daughter Longstocking, daughter of the Captain Ephraim Longstocking, formerly the Terror of the Sea, now a cannibal king. Pippi is really only a nickname, you see, because Papa thought that Pipilata was indeed too long. Indeed, said the teacher. Well, then we shall call you Pippi too. But now, she continued, suppose we test you a little to see what you know. You are a big girl, and no doubt know already a great deal. Let us begin with some math. Pippi, can you tell me what 7 and 5 are? Pippi, astonished and dismayed, looked at her and said, well, if you don't know that yourself, you needn't think I'm going to tell you. All of the children stared in horror at Pippi, and the teacher explained that one couldn't answer that way in school. I beg your pardon, said Pippi contritely. I didn't know that. I won't do it again. No, let's hope not, said the teacher. And now I will tell you that 7 and 5 make 12. See that, said Pippi. You knew it yourself. Why are you asking then? The teacher decided to act as if nothing unusual were happening and went on with her examination. Well now, Pippi, how much do you think 8 and 4 are together? Oh, about 67, said Pippi. Of course not, said the teacher. 8 and 4 are 12. Well now, really, my dear little woman, said Pippi, that is carrying things too far. You just said that 7 and 5 are 12. There should be some rhyme and reason to things even in school. Furthermore, if you are so childishly interested in that foolishness, why don't you sit down in a corner by yourself and do math and leave us alone so we can play tag? Now the teacher decided there was no point in trying to teach Pippi any more math. She began to ask the other children arithmetic questions. Can Tommy answer this one? She asked. If Lisa has 7 apples and Axel has 9 apples, how many apples do they have altogether? Yes, you tell, Tommy, Pippi interrupted. And tell me too, if Lisa gets a stomachache and Axel gets more stomachache, whose fault is it, and where did they get hold of the apples in the first place? The teacher tried to pretend she hadn't heard and turned to Anika. Now, Anika, here's an example for you. Gus was with his schoolmates on a picture. Lost my spot. Gus was with his schoolmates on a picnic. He had a quarter when he started out and 7 cents when he got home. How much did he spend? Yes, indeed, said Pippi. And I also want to know why he was so extravagant, and if it was pop he bought, and if he washed his ears properly before he left home. The teacher decided to give up math altogether. She thought maybe Pippi would prefer to learn to read. So she took out a pretty little card with a picture of an igloo on it. In front of the igloo was the letter I. "Now, Pippi," she said briskly, "you'll see something jolly. Right here is an igloo. And the letter in front of the igloo is called an I." "That I'll never believe. I think it looks exactly like a curved line or a straight line with a little fly speck over it. But what I'd really like to know, what has an igloo got to do with the fly speck?" The teacher took out another card with a picture of a snake on it and told Pippi that the letter on that was an S. "Speaking of snakes," said Pippi, "I'll never ever forget the time I had a fight with a huge snake in India. You can't imagine what a dreadful snake it was. 14 yards long and mad as a hornet. And every day he ate 5 Indians and then 2 little children for dessert. And one time he came and wanted me for dessert. He wound himself around me. Ugh! But I've been around a bit," I said, "and I hit him in the head. Bang! And then he hissed. Ooh! And then I hit him again, and then bingo! He was dead." And indeed, so that is the letter S, and it is indeed the most remarkable. Pippi had to stop to get her breath. And the teacher, who had now begun to think that Pippi was an unruly and troublesome child, decided that the class should have a drawing time for a while. Surely Pippi could sit still and be quiet and draw, thought the teacher. She took out paper and pencils and passed them out to the children. "Now you may draw whatever you wish," she said, and sat down at her desk and began to correct copybooks. In a little while she looked up to see how the drawing was going. All the children sat looking at Pippi, who lay flat on the floor, drawing to her heart's content. "But Pippi," said the teacher impatiently, "why in the world aren't you drawing on your paper?" "Oh, I filled that long ago. There isn't room enough for my whole horse on that little snip of paper," said Pippi. "Just now I'm working on his front legs, but when I get to his tail, I guess I'll have to go out into the hall." The teacher thought hard for a while. "Suppose instead we all sing a little song," she suggested. All the children stood up by their seats except for Pippi. She stayed where she was on the floor. "You go ahead and sing," she said. "I'll rest myself a while. Too much learning breaks even the healthiest." But now the teacher's patience had come to an end. She told all the children to go out into the yard so she could talk to Pippi alone. When the teacher and Pippi were alone, Pippi got up and walked to the desk. "Do you know what?" she said. "It was awfully jolly to come to school to find out what it was like. But I don't think I care about school anymore. Christmas vacation or no Christmas vacation. There's altogether too many apples and igloos and snakes and things like that. It makes me dizzy in the head. I hope that you, teacher, won't be sorry." But the teacher said she certainly was sorry, most of all because Pippi wouldn't behave decently, and that any girl who acted as bad as Pippi wouldn't be allowed to go to school even if she ever wanted to. "Have I behaved badly?" asked Pippi, much astonished. "Goodness! Why, I didn't know that," she added, and looked very sad. And nobody could look as sad as Pippi when she was sad. She stood silent for a while, and then she said in a trembling voice, You understand, teacher, don't you? That when you have a mother who's an angel and a father who's a cannibal king, and when you sailed on the ocean your whole life, then you just don't know how to behave in school with all the apples and igloos." Then the teacher said she understood and didn't feel annoyed with Pippi any longer. And maybe Pippi could come back to school when she was a little older. Pippi positively beamed with delight. "I think you're awfully nice, teacher, and here's something for you. Out of her pocket, Pippi took a lovely gold watch and laid it on the desk. The teacher said she couldn't possibly accept such a valuable gift from Pippi, but Pippi replied, "You've got to take it. Otherwise, I'll come back again tomorrow, and that would be a pretty how do you do." Then Pippi rushed out to the schoolyard and jumped on her horse. All the children gathered around to pat the horse and see her off. "You ought to know about the schools in Argentina," said Pippi, looking down at the children. "That's where you should go. Easter vacation begins 3 days after Christmas vacation ends, and when Easter vacation is over, there are 3 days, and then it's summer vacation. Summer vacation ends on the 1st of November, and then you have a tough time until Christmas vacation begins on November 11th. But you can't stand that because there are at least no lessons. It is strictly against the law to have lessons in Argentina. Once in a while, it happens that some Argentine kid sneaks into a closet and sits there studying a lesson. Hoo-hoo, but that's just too bad for him if his mother finds him. Math, they don't have that at all in schools. And if there is any kid who knows what 7 and 5 are together, he has to stand in the corner all day long. Well, that is if he's foolish enough to let the teacher know that he knows. Reading, they only have on Friday. And even then, only if they have some books, which they never have. "But what do they do in school?" asked one little boy. "Well, they eat caramels," said Pippi decidedly. "There is a long pipe that goes from a caramel factory nearby directly into the schoolroom, and caramels keep shooting out of it all day long. So all the children have to do is eat them up." "Yes, but what does the teacher do?" said the little girl. "Well, she takes the paper off the caramels for the children, of course," said Pippi. "You don't suppose they did it themselves, did you?" "Hardly. They don't even go to school themselves. They send their brothers." Pippi waved her big hat. "So long, kids," she cried happily. "Now you won't see me for a while, but always remember how many apples Axel had, or you'll be sorry." With a ringing laugh, Pippi rode through the gate so wildly that the pebbles whirled around the horse's hooves and the window panes rattled in the schoolhouse. And that is the end of Chapter 4. Chloe and I will see you tomorrow for Chapter 5, which is called Pippi Sits on the Gate and Climbs a Tree.